I never thought the woman who raised me would beg me to abandon her in her final days. But as my Korean grandmother lay in that hospital bed, her wrinkled hand gripping mine with surprising strength, she whispered the words that shattered my world. "Leave her, Jamal. Leave me. And go back to Keisha. That's my dying wish." How do you honor someone who saved your life by breaking both your hearts? My name is Jamal Mitchell. I'm 32 years old, a software engineer living in Seattle, and I'm Korean. Well, half the story anyway. Let me back up. I was born in South Korea to a young Korean woman named Park Mi-sun and an African-American serviceman stationed at Camp Humphreys. My father, Marcus Mitchell, was 23, charismatic, and completely unprepared for fatherhood. When I was 6 months old, he rotated back to the States. My mother received 2 letters, then silence. In South Korea, being mixed race, especially half-black, wasn't easy in the 90s. My mother faced constant judgment. Her family had already disowned her for getting pregnant out of wedlock with a black man. She worked 3 jobs trying to give me a life, but the weight was crushing her. When I was 4, she made a decision that would define my entire existence. She brought me to my grandmother's apartment in Busan. My father's mother, Dorothy Mitchell, a 68-year-old retired schoolteacher from Atlanta who had moved to South Korea after falling in love with the country during a teaching exchange program years before. I still remember that day. My mother kneeling down, her face wet with tears, telling me in Korean that I was going to stay with Halmiani Dorothy for a little while. She kissed my forehead, whispered "Sarangi," and walked out of that apartment. I never saw her again. Grandmother Dorothy, Grandma Dot as I came to call her, became everything. Mother, father, teacher, protector. She was a force of nature. 5'2" with silver hair she kept in an elegant bun, warm brown skin that defied her age, and a spirit that could fill any room. She taught me English and made sure I stayed fluent in Korean. She cooked soul food on Sundays and learned to make kimchi jjigae during the week. She took me to Black history museums when we visited the States and to Korean temples during Chuseok. She taught me that I didn't have to choose between my identities. I could be fully both. "You're a bridge, baby," she'd tell me, her Atlanta accent wrapping around me like a warm blanket. "Bridges connect worlds. That's your gift." Growing up mixed race in Korea was still hard. Kids called me Twiggy, the Korean slur for mixed race children. I got into fights defending myself. I felt too black for Korea and, during our summers in the States, too Korean for America. But Grandma Dot never let me feel sorry for myself. "You think you're the only one who's had to fight for space in this world," she'd say, hands on her hips. "Your grandfather, my late husband, was darker than midnight and I'm light-skinned. We caught hell from both sides. But we loved each other and we made our own space. You'll do the same." She was right. By the time I graduated from Seoul National University with a degree in computer engineering, I had found my space. I was confident in my skin, proud of my heritage. All of it. I moved to Seattle for work, but I visited Grandma in Busan every few months. She was 78 then, still vibrant, still teaching English part-time to local kids, still the heartbeat of my life. And then I met Keisha. Keisha Johnson was everything I didn't know I needed. She was 29, a graphic designer with her own studio, originally from Oakland. She had deep brown skin, natural hair she wore in elaborate styles, and a laugh that made everyone around her feel like they were in on the joke. We met at a black tech professionals mixer in Seattle. I was nursing a beer in the corner, feeling slightly out of place. I always did in explicitly black spaces, worried I wasn't black enough, when she walked up to me. "Let me guess," she said, eyes twinkling. "You're wondering if you belong here." I blinked. "That obvious. Only because I've seen that look in the mirror." She extended her hand. "Keisha Johnson. And before you ask, yes, I belong here, and so do you." We talked for 4 hours that night. She told me about growing up in Oakland, about her Nigerian father and her African-American mother, about feeling caught between cultures herself. I told her about Grandma Dot, about Korea, about my mother's disappearance. Your grandmother sounds incredible, Keisha said softly. She is. She's everything. 6 months later, Keisha and I were inseparable. She understood me in ways I'd never experienced. She didn't question my blackness or my Koreanness. She celebrated both. When I spoke Korean on the phone with Grandma, she'd ask me to teach her phrases. When I cooked Korean food, she'd be right there, learning beside me. I want to meet her, Keisha said one evening as we walked through Pike Place Market. Your grandma. I want to meet the woman who made you who you are. My heart swelled. She'd love you. We planned a trip to Busan for the following month. I called Grandma, excited, speaking rapidly in a mix of English and Korean. Grandma, I'm bringing someone special. Her name is Keisha. She's the one. There was a pause on the line. Long pause. Jamala, Grandma said slowly, using the Korean endearment. We need to talk when you come. Just you first. Something in her tone made my stomach drop. Grandma. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, baby. I just need to see you. Alone first. Then you can bring your young lady. I should have known then. I should have heard the tremor in her voice, the weight behind her words. But I was too happy, too in love, too naive to understand that everything was about to change. I flew to Busan alone, planning to spend a week with Grandma before Keisha joined me. When I arrived at her apartment, my key didn't work. Panic seized me until a neighbor informed me she was at Busan National University Hospital. Ran. I found her in a private room, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. She was awake, sitting up, but there were tubes and monitors and the unmistakable atmosphere of serious illness. Grandma! I rushed to her side. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. There's my handsome boy. What happened? Why didn't you call me? She patted the bed beside her. Sit down, Jamal. We need to talk. The doctor came in shortly after. Dr. Kim, a soft-spoken oncologist in her 40s. She explained in careful English, then Korean, that Grandma had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It had been caught late. Very late. How long? Asked, my voice breaking. Dr. Kim glanced at Grandma, who nodded permission. 3 to 6 months. Maybe less. The world tilted. I heard myself making a sound, something between a gasp and a sob. Grandma's hand found mine. I've known for 2 months, she said quietly. I didn't tell you because I wanted you living your life, not watching me die. How could you not tell me? Tears were streaming down my face. How could you go through this alone? Because I'm not alone, baby. I have my church community here. I have friends. I have peace. She squeezed my hand. And now I have you. Over the next 3 days, I barely left her side. We talked about everything. Her childhood in Atlanta, her late husband, her years teaching in Korea, my mother. She told me stories I'd never heard, shared regrets and joys with the raw honesty of someone who knows their time is short. And then, on the 4th morning, she said it. Tell me about Keisha. I did. I told her everything. How we met, how she made me laugh, how she understood the complicated dance of my identity, how I was planning to propose. Grandma listened, her eyes glistening. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. She sounds wonderful, Jamal. She is. I can't wait for you to meet her. Another pause. Then, I need to ask you something. And I need you to really hear me. I leaned forward. Anything, Grandma. She took a shaky breath. I want you to leave her. I want you to end things with Keisha and not look back. That's my dying wish. I laughed, actually laughed because it was so absurd. What? Grandma, you're not serious. Her face was grave. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. The laughter died in my throat. Why? You don't even know her. She's amazing, she's. It's not about her, baby. It's about you. It's about timing. It's about what you need to do now. I don't understand. My voice was rising. You've always taught me to follow my heart, to build my own life. Why would you ask me to give up the woman I love? Tears spilled down her weathered cheeks. Because I'm dying, Jamal. And I need you here. Fully here. Not split between Seattle and Busan. Not distracted by a long-distance relationship. Not torn between building a future with her and saying goodbye to me. I can do both. I'll move back to Korea. I'll bring Keisha. No. Her voice was firm despite her frailty. Listen to me. I'm going to die soon. Maybe in 3 months, maybe in 3 weeks. When I'm gone, you're going to grieve hard. You're going to be lost. If you're trying to maintain a relationship during that, especially one that's still new, still being built, it will fall apart anyway. And you'll lose both me and her. That's not true. Keisha would understand. She'd support. And what happens in a year? Grandma interrupted. When you're still grieving, still figuring out who you are without me. When she wants to move forward with life. Marriage, maybe children, and you're stuck in the past. You'll resent her. Or she'll resent you. Either way, it ends badly. I was shaking my head, tears blurring my vision. You're wrong. You don't know that. I know because I've lived 80 years, baby. I know because I've seen relationships survive many things, but they rarely survive grief and distance and bad timing all at once. She gripped my hand. With surprising strength. I'm giving you permission to be selfish. To focus on yourself. To mourn me without guilt. And then, when you're whole again, to find love. Maybe with Keisha again, maybe with someone else. This is insane. I stood up, pacing. You're asking me to break both our hearts because you think it's better that way? Yes. The simple honesty of that word gutted me. I won't do it, I said. I won't leave her. I'll be here for you. I'll move back to Korea tomorrow. But I'm not ending things with Keisha. Grandma Dot's face crumpled. Then you're not honoring my final wish. Don't do that. Don't put that on me. I'm dying, Jamal. This is all I have left. The ability to ask you for one thing. One thing that I believe, with everything in me, is best for you. We stared at each other across the hospital room. Both of us crying. Both of us standing our ground. That night I called Keisha. I told her everything. The cancer, the prognosis, Grandma Dot's request. There was a long silence on the line. Jamal, she finally said. Her voice thick with emotion. I'm so sorry about your grandma. I'll book a flight tomorrow. I'll be there with you. She doesn't want you to come. Another pause. What? She wants me to focus on her. She thinks we should end things. And what do you think? I think she's wrong. I think we can get through this together. But she's dying. Keisha's voice cracked. She's dying and she's asking you for something. How do you say no to that? I say no because I love you. Because I'm not a child who just follows orders. Because, Jamal, she was crying now. She raised you. She saved you. She's the reason you exist as the man you are. If she's asking for this, maybe there's wisdom in it we can't see yet. Don't you want to fight for us? Of course I do. But I also understand that your grandmother is dying and maybe, the kindest thing I can do is give you the space to be with her without the complication of us. That's her talking, not you. No, it's me being a grown woman who understands that sometimes love means stepping back. She took a shaky breath. I love you, Jamal. So much. But I don't want to be the reason you have regrets. I don't want you looking back and wondering if you gave your grandmother what she needed in her final days. I felt like I was drowning. So you're agreeing with her. You're saying we should break up. I'm saying maybe we take a break. You be with your grandma. You grieve. And then when you're ready, if you're ready, we see if we can find our way back to each other. That's just breaking up with extra steps. Maybe. Or maybe it's honoring something bigger than just what we want right now. We talked for 2 more hours, going in circles, both of us crying, neither of us wanting to let go but both of us feeling the weight of Grandma Dot's request. Finally, as dawn broke in Busan, we made a decision, or rather a compromise. We'd pause the relationship. Not a clean break but a step back. I'd focus on Grandma Dot. Keisha would focus on her work. And when the grieving was done, we'd see where we stood. It felt like the worst kind of solution, one that satisfied no one and hurt everyone. I moved back to Busan. I took a leave of absence from work. I spent every day with Grandma. We fell into a rhythm, mornings at the hospital or, on her better days, at her apartment. I'd make her breakfast, read to her from her favorite books, watch Korean dramas she pretended not to enjoy but secretly loved. In the afternoons, members of her church would visit, bringing food and prayers. In the evenings, it was just us. We talked about everything. She told me about my mother, things I'd never known. How Mi-sun had been a talented artist, how she'd struggled with depression, how she'd loved me fiercely but felt she was failing me. She didn't abandon you because she didn't love you, Grandma said one evening, her voice weak but clear. She left you with me because she loved you too much to let you suffer for her choices. Do you know where she is? No, baby. I tried to find her for years. But I think she didn't want to be found. We talked about my father, too. Marcus Mitchell had died of a heart attack 5 years prior. I'd learned this through a cousin, but I'd never processed it, never grieved. He wasn't a bad man, Grandma said. He was young and scared and selfish. But he would have been proud of you. I doubt that. I don't. You became everything he couldn't be. Responsible, present, emotionally intelligent. You took your pain and turned it into purpose. Some days were good. We'd go for short walks along Houndy Beach, her leaning heavily on my arm. We'd eat tteokbokki from her favorite street vendor. We'd sit in comfortable silence, just being together. Other days were brutal. The pain would flare, and she'd writhe despite the morphine. She'd lose hours to sleep or delirium. She'd apologize for being a burden, and I'd hold her hand and tell her she could never be a burden. And through it all I thought about Keisha. I missed her so much it physically hurt. I'd see couples walking together and feel a stab of jealousy and regret. I'd start to text her, then stop, remembering our agreement. She'd text me occasionally, thinking of you, sending strength, but we'd both kept our distance. Was Grandma right? Was this better? I didn't know. All I knew was that I was losing the woman who raised me, and the woman I loved felt 1,000 miles away, and I was angry at everyone. My mother for leaving, my father for dying, Grandma for making me choose, Keisha for agreeing, and myself for not being strong enough to figure it out. 2 months into my stay, Grandma's health took a sharp decline. Dr. Kim suggested hospice care. We moved Grandma to a beautiful facility overlooking the ocean. Her request. One afternoon, I got a visitor I didn't expect. Pastor Thompson, Grandma's close friend and the head of her church, a 65-year-old Korean-American woman who'd known my grandmother for 20 years. "Can we talk?" she asked, gesturing to the facility's garden. We sat on a bench surrounded by cherry blossom trees. It was late spring, and the petals fell like snow. "She told me what she asked you to do," Pastor Thompson said without preamble. "About Keisha." I stiffened. "Did she send you to convince me she was right?" "No. I came because I think she's wrong." I turned to her, surprised. Pastor Thompson sighed. "Your grandmother is one of the most remarkable women I've ever known. But she's not perfect. And I think this request comes from fear, not wisdom." "Fear of what?" "Fear of you being alone. Fear of you not having support when she's gone. Fear that you'll disappear into grief and never come back." She looked at me intently. Dorothy lost a lot in her life. Her husband young, her son to distance and pride, years of struggle. When she took you in, you became her purpose. Her redemption. She's terrified that without her, you'll fall apart. And in her mind, pushing away your girlfriend protects you from additional pain. "But it doesn't," I said quietly. "It just adds different pain." "Exactly. She's trying to control your healing, but grief doesn't work that way. You don't get to schedule it or manage it or protect yourself from complications. You just have to go through it, with whatever support you have." "So what do I do?" "You honor her by living fully, not by limiting yourself. You honor her by letting people love you, not by pushing them away." She put a hand on my shoulder. "And you tell her the truth, that you hear her fear, you understand her concern, but you're going to make your own choices about your life. That evening I sat with Grandma Dot. She was having a good day, alert, present, even laughing at something on TV. "Grandma," I said, turning off the television. "We need to talk about Keisha again." Her face fell. "Jamal, please. No, let me finish. I've done what you asked. Put us on pause. Focused on you. But I need you to understand something." I took her hand. "I love you more than anything in this world. You saved my life. You made me who I am. And I will be here until your very last breath." She started to cry. "But I also love Keisha. And I'm not going to cut her out of my life permanently because you're afraid. I'm strong enough to grieve you and love someone at the same time. I'm strong enough to fall apart and put myself back together. You taught me that." "What if I'm right?" she whispered. "What if it destroys your relationship?" "Then it does. And I'll survive that too. But I won't survive spending the rest of my life wondering what if. I won't survive knowing I chose fear over love." We sat in silence, both crying. Finally, Grandma Dot spoke. "She must be really special." "She is. I'd like to meet her. Before I go," called Keisha that night. She answered on the first ring like she'd been waiting. "Hi," I said, my voice rough. "Hi. I miss you. I miss you too. My grandmother wants to meet you. Will you come?" There was a pause then. "I'm booking a flight right now." Keisha arrived 3 days later. I picked her up from Gimhe International Airport, and the moment I saw her walking through arrivals, I broke. We held each other in the middle of the terminal, both of us crying, neither of us caring who saw. "I'm so sorry," I said into her hair. "Don't be. We both did what we thought was right. I should have fought harder for us. You were fighting for someone you loved. That's not something to apologize for." We drove to the hospice facility. In the car, Keisha was nervous, fidgeting with her hands. "What if she doesn't like me?" "She'll love you." "But what if?" "Keisha." I took her hand. "She already loves you because I love you. The rest is just details." Grandma Dot was awake when we arrived, propped up in bed, wearing her favorite purple cardigan. I'd told her Keisha was coming, and she'd insisted on doing her hair and putting on lipstick. "I'm not meeting your girlfriend looking like death," she'd said with characteristic wit. "Grandma," I said, leading Keisha into the room. "This is Keisha Johnson." Keisha stepped forward, and I saw her fighting tears. "Mrs. Mitchell, it's an honor to meet you." Grandma Dot studied her for a long moment, then held out her hand. Keisha took it, and my grandmother pulled her closer. "Come here, child. Let me look at you." Keisha sat on the edge of the bed, and Grandma Dot touched her face gently, studying her like she was committing every detail to memory. "You're beautiful," she finally said. "Thank you, ma'am. And you love my grandson." It wasn't a question, but Keisha answered anyway. "With everything I have." Grandma Dot nodded slowly, then looked at me. "Jamala, give us a few minutes. I want to talk to Keisha alone." My stomach dropped. "Grandma." "Just a few minutes, baby. Go get some coffee. We'll be fine." I looked at Keisha, who nodded. Reluctantly, I left the room. Later, Keisha told me what happened in those 20 minutes, and I'll share it as she shared it with me. When I left, Grandma Dot was quiet for a moment, still holding Keisha's hand. "I'm going to be honest with you," she said. "I asked Jamal to leave you." Keisha nodded. "I know. He told me. And you agreed to it." "I stepped back because I thought it was what he needed. What you both needed." Grandma Dot sighed. "I was wrong to ask him to do that. And I think you were wrong to agree." Keisha blinked, surprised. "Don't get me wrong," Grandma Dot continued. "Your heart was in the right place. But love isn't about making things easy. It's about showing up even when it's hard. I thought I was showing up by giving him space. Space is good. Absence is different." She squeezed Keisha's hand. "I was scared, baby. Scared that when I die, Jamal would fall apart. Scared that he'd lose both me and you. scared that I'd leave him alone in this world. Tears streamed down Keisha's face. He won't be alone. I promise you he won't be alone. I'm starting to believe that. Grandma smiled weakly. You remind me of myself at your age. Strong. Stubborn. So full of love you don't quite know what to do with it. I just want to take care of him. I know. And that's why I need to ask you something. She paused, gathering strength. When I'm gone, he's going to grieve hard. He's going to shut down. He's going to push you away because that's what he does when he's hurt. He learned it from his mama, from his daddy, from everyone who left him. I won't leave. I know. But I need you to promise me something else. Promise me you won't let him disappear. Promise me you'll make him laugh even when he doesn't want to. Promise me you'll drag him out of the darkness even when he fights you. Promise me you'll love him even when he's unlovable. I promise. Grandma pulled her close, hugging her as tightly as her frail body allowed. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for loving my boy. When I came back, they were both crying and laughing, and Grandma waved me over. Come here, Jamal. I sat on the other side of the bed. She took both our hands and placed them together. I was wrong to ask you to leave her. I was scared and selfish and trying to control something I can't control. You two belong together. I see that now. Grandma. Let me finish. Her voice was getting weaker. When I'm gone, you're going to want to be alone. Don't be. Let her in. Let her help you. Let her love you through the mess. I will. And Keisha. She looked at her directly. Don't let him push you away. He's going to try. Fight for him. I will, Keisha said firmly. Good. Grandma lay back against the pillows, exhausted. Now tell me how you two met. I want to hear the whole story. The next 2 weeks were a gift. Keisha stayed in Busan, getting a hotel nearby but spending most of her time at the hospice. The three of us fell into an unexpected rhythm. In the mornings, Keisha and I would bring Grandma breakfast. Sometimes American food, sometimes Korean. We'd eat together, talking about everything and nothing. Grandma told stories about her childhood, her late husband, her years teaching in Korea. She told Keisha embarrassing stories about me as a kid, making us all laugh until we cried. In the afternoons, when Grandma slept, Keisha and I would walk along the beach or sit in the hospice garden. We talked about the future, carefully, tentatively, but with hope. I want to marry you, I told her one afternoon, watching the sunset over the ocean. I want to marry you too, she said. But let's do it right. Let's grieve your grandma first. Let's heal first. And then let's build our life. You're so wise. I just love you. In the evenings we'd gather in Grandma's room. Sometimes just the three of us, sometimes with Pastor Thompson or other church members. We'd pray, sing hymns, share memories. One evening, Grandma looked at Keisha and said, "Sing something for me. I hear you've got a beautiful voice." Keisha blushed. "Who told you that?" "Jamal. He says you sing while you cook." "I don't know any church songs." "Sing anything." So Keisha sang, "Lean on Me" by Bill Withers. Her voice filled the room, rich and warm, and by the end we were all crying. "That was perfect," Grandma whispered. "Thank you." Grandma died on a Tuesday morning in early June, with me holding one hand and Keisha holding the other. She'd been unconscious for 2 days, her breathing labored. The hospice staff said it would be soon. We stayed with her, taking turns reading to her, playing her favorite music, telling her we loved her. At 6:47 a.m., her breathing changed. I knew immediately. I'd been trained to recognize the signs. I called for Keisha, who'd stepped out to get coffee. She rushed back, taking Grandma's other hand. "We're here, Grandma," I said, my voice breaking. "We're both here. You're not alone." Her breathing slowed, became shallow. Then with one last exhale, so soft I almost missed it, she was gone. I don't remember much of the next few minutes. I know I screamed. I know I held her body and sobbed. I know Keisha held me while I fell apart. The hospice staff was kind, giving us time before they came in. Eventually, Pastor Thompson arrived, and we prayed over Grandma's body, a prayer of thanksgiving, of release, of grief. The funeral was a week later, a beautiful service at her church in Busan. The place was packed, her students, her church family, neighbors, friends. Pastor Thompson officiated, and I gave a eulogy that I barely remember delivering. Keisha stood beside me the entire time, my anchor in the storm. We buried Grandma in a cemetery overlooking the ocean, next to a plot she'd reserved for my grandfather decades ago. On her headstone we inscribed, "Dorothy Mitchell, bridge builder, light giver, beloved." After the funeral I fell apart. I didn't leave my bed for 3 days. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't function. The grief was crushing, physical, overwhelming. And Keisha stayed. She didn't try to fix me. She didn't tell me everything would be okay. She just sat with me in the darkness, holding my hand, being present. On the 4th day, she opened the curtains. "Get up," she said gently but firmly. "I can't." "You can. Your grandma didn't raise a quitter. She's gone, Keisha." "I know. And it hurts like hell. But you're still here. And she'd want you to keep living." I started crying again. Ugly, desperate sobs. Keisha climbed into bed beside me and held me while I shattered. "I've got you," she whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." Slowly, over the next weeks, I started to come back to life. Keisha made me eat. She made me shower. She made me go outside even when I didn't want to. But she also let me grieve. She sat with me while I cried. She listened to me tell stories about Grandma. Over and over. She didn't rush me or try to make it better. "Your grandma asked me to promise I wouldn't let you disappear," she told me one evening as we walked along Houndy Beach. "I'm keeping that promise. Thank you for staying. Where else would I be?" 2 months after the funeral, while going through Grandma's belongings, I found a letter. It was addressed to me in her handwriting, sealed in an envelope marked, "Open when you're ready." I sat on the floor of her apartment and opened it with shaking hands. "My dearest Jamal, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I pray that Keisha is there with you. I need to tell you why I asked you to leave her, and why I changed my mind. When I first learned I was dying, I was terrified for you. Not for myself, I've lived a good long life. But for you. You've been left so many times, baby. Your mother, your father, and now me. I was scared that losing me would break something in you that could never be fixed. I thought that if I removed Keisha from the equation, you could grieve cleanly. You could fall apart without worrying about maintaining a relationship. You could heal on your own timeline. But I was wrong. I was trying to protect you from pain by adding different pain. I was trying to control your healing instead of trusting you to find your own way. When I met Keisha, I understood immediately why you love her. She's strong but not hard. She's gentle but not weak. She's exactly the kind of partner you need. Someone who will challenge you and support you in equal measure. More than that, I saw how she looks at you. And I saw how you look at her. That kind of love doesn't come around often, Jamal. That kind of love is worth fighting for. So here's my real dying wish. Live fully. Love deeply. Don't hide from pain, but don't seek it out either. Build a life that honors all the pieces of. Continue. 11:33 a.m. Who you are, Korean and Black, American and global, yours and hers. Marry that girl if she'll have you. Have babies. Teach them about their heritage. All of it. Tell them about their great-grandmother who loved them before they were born. And when you think of me, don't just remember the dying. Remember the living. Remember the laughter, the late-night talks, the soul food Sundays, the terrible Korean dramas we pretended not to love. Remember that you were my greatest joy. My redemption. My pride. I love you, baby. Forever and always. Grandma. I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. Then I called Keisha. "Can you come over?" She was there in 20 minutes. I handed her the letter. She read it, crying, then looked at me. "She really was something special," Keisha said. "Yeah, she was." We sat in silence for a while, then Keisha said, "So, are you going to follow her advice?" "What do you mean?" She raised an eyebrow. The part about marrying me. I laughed. The first real laugh since Grandma died. Is this you proposing to me? Maybe I am. What are you going to say? I pulled her close. I'm going to say yes. But I'm going to do it right. I'm going to plan something special. I'm going to get a ring. I'm going to. Jamal. She cupped my face. I don't need special. I just need you. You deserve special. Then we'll make our whole life special. But right now, in this moment, I just want to know if you're in. Fully in. 'Cause I am. I'm all in with you. I kissed her, soft at first, then deeper. When we pulled apart, I whispered against her lips. I'm all in. A year later, Keisha and I got married. We had 2 ceremonies. One in Oakland with her family. One in Busan with the community that loved Grandma. We mixed traditions, blending Black American and Korean customs into something uniquely ours. We carried a photo of Grandma down the aisle. In her honor, we set up a scholarship fund for mixed-race students in Korea. I still grieve her. Some days are harder than others. But Keisha was right. Grief doesn't disappear, but it changes. It becomes something you carry rather than something that crushes you. We moved to Busan permanently. I work remotely. Keisha opened a design studio. We're building a life here. In the city where Grandma built her life, where my story began. Last month, we found out Keisha's pregnant. We're having a girl. We're going to name her Dorothy Misun Mitchell Johnson, after my grandmother and my mother. She'll grow up knowing her heritage, all of it. She'll grow up knowing the woman who saved me. And she'll grow up knowing that love, real love, isn't about perfect timing or easy choices. It's about showing up. It's about staying. It's about honoring the people who came before while building something new. Grandma's dying wish wasn't for me to leave Keisha. It was for me to live fully, to love deeply, to be the bridge she raised me to be. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes the people we love ask us for things they don't really mean. Sometimes they're scared, and fear makes them try to control what they can't control. The lesson I learned is this. Honor the spirit of their request, not just the letter. Grandma asked me to leave Keisha, but what she really wanted was for me to be okay. To survive her death. To thrive. And I am. We are. 'Cause she taught me how to build bridges. And Keisha walked across that bridge to meet me halfway. Thank you for watching Jamal's story. If this moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to Forbidden Hearts for more real, emotional stories about love, family, and the choices that define us. Drop a comment below. Have you ever faced an impossible choice between family and love? How did you handle it? Let's support each other in the comments. And remember, your story matters. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today.